morning, everybody. 10 o'clock straight up to you. That's exactly right. Moose and Keith with you. Mark Malusis, Keith Arizari. We got you right up until high noon. Doc Roto will join us a little later on the program. I like to set the table, as you know. Dave Sharapan will join us a little bit later on the program.
And I like to dance.
Well, that's exactly right. Set the table. We got a big show for you, and thanks for being with us right here on the Bettor Sports Network, of course. And good morning, work and grind, and everybody in our chat session. Final Four is set. Miami, UConn, Florida Atlantic, and San Diego State, just like we drew it up. I think it's the first time ever that a 1, 2, or 3 seed is not in the Final Four.
It's the first time since 1979 that they began seeding that there hasn't been at least that the best seed has been a 4.
Yeah,
that's crazy. By the way, we did pick this, right? Like, we have the tape. Like, I mean, I remember you saying
Florida Atlantic losing to Memphis.
No. I think you had San Diego State. I think you had Florida Atlantic. You were perfect on that side. I had Miami and UConn on the other side, and we're good. I mean, I hope everyone listened because you guys made a lot of money because of us.
Yeah, well, at least we did nail UConn. I mean, that's
did.
one thing that we did nail.
Hey, I'm going to pat myself on the back. Now, I didn't end up actually betting it, but if you remember, before the brackets came out, I said I thought Miami had a chance to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I just, unfortunately, didn't pick them to beat Houston.
And I don't know how many people believed, even if you did beforehand, that Miami, when they were down a dozen in the second half to the Texas Longhorns, if you thought they were going to be able to come back and then all of a sudden do it with not hitting a three-point shot. As we all know, in the NBA, college basketball, everyone's shooting threes. They're not knocking down threes. They're hitting the mid-range jumpers. They're finishing at the rim, hooping the harm, all of that stuff. Wong was fantastic, as their lead guard, kind of orchestrating everything. Their defense was great. And Texas went from a team that couldn't miss to a team down the stretch of that game that couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, who was it? Carr. When Carr banged up his knee and had to end up going out, he sat on the bike for a little bit. It was the next 6 or 7 minutes, even though he came back into the game, that Texas just kind of looked like a different team. And Miami took advantage of it. Poplar was really good inside when Wong and Pack weren't hitting their shots early. I thought this Miami team, like, you hate this. I know I've said this to you before. I don't want to ever do they wanted it more, because I think everybody, I thought all of the teams played crazy hard, maybe for the lack of Gonzaga against UConn towards the end of the game in that one. But everyone played hard and wanted it. I thought Miami just capitalized on a few of the Texas mistakes in the second half, and they made their shots. And it's crazy. When you play defense and make shots, it's crazy. You can win games.
No, you can. You can. I mean, and let's not forget also, Miller from Miami was,
oh my goodness,
he was perfect. He was perfect from the field. He was perfect from the free throw line, 13 of 13, just ripping the cord. There was no doubt about his free throws. And he was great, the senior, the 6'7" senior from Virginia yesterday for Jim Larinaga and the Miami Hurricanes, and kind of a sign of the time. So we'll get to, let's hear it. Let's start with Miami. Here's the final call on how it sounded as the Canes, for the first time in program history, they're going to the Final Four. Well, there you have it. That's the call. How about Jim Larinaga? I think we have that as well. Larinaga, right after the game, because this is the second time he went with George Mason a number of years ago. Now he goes with Miami to the Final Four. Here's Coach Larinaga after the game getting interviewed by Tracy Wolfson.
Take them to a Final Four. Last year we got to the Elite Eight here, and then it comes to a crushing end. So today, last night, all the guys just kept talking. we've got to go past the Elite Eight and get to the Final Four. He was telling everybody what it was like last year. Isaiah, Wooga, Bensley, they were all saying it. Look at this guy.
We'll see you in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see in Houston and Miami. I mean, whether it be Miller, whether it be Pack, whether it be Wong, it's also a sign of the times, as I was mentioning it. The NIL deals, and Miami is a program that is flush with money when you think about basketball, when you think about football, and that's great if you're a college level athlete and you're looking to make 6-figure deals because Miami is willing to pay them out. It really is, especially for talented young players, because that's just a sign of the time. So, not saying they didn't earn it, they did. My point being is that the landscape of college basketball has completely and utterly changed. And Miami is a product of that landscape as well.
And I'm going to deviate from the plan a little bit because clearly we're talking NCAA tournament, March Madness teams going to the Final Four. But something you said there really just struck something here, because sign of the times, right? So Miami, you could argue that 3 of their 4 best players are transfers. 3 of their 4 best players are there because of NIL deals. There's oodles and oodles of money being shelled into that program from boosters and whatnot, and businessmen and businesswomen who want to see Miami win championships. It's turning into a basketball school as opposed to a football school. But the thing that struck me there is what you said, how things can change that quickly. And you go to a school like St. John's and Georgetown, just made changes with their coaches, have real traditions. And I'll go further with St. John's more than even Georgetown, because maybe I know a little bit more about St. John's and like the area, the surrounding area. There is no reason to believe that they can't get kids to transfer into their university, pay them crazy amounts of money, and be a team that's battling to be in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. Honestly, like as soon as next year. It's just crazy how the amount of money that can be thrown around, and now it's not shady anymore. Now it's above board, not below, right? Like that's how quickly things can turn around. Jim Larrañaga in Miami, like let's not forget. So last year they were really good. The prior 3 or 4 years, they were under 500. And they had a coach who was nearing in on 70-something years old at the time. What's he, 72, 73 right now?
Something like that, yeah.
Right? So he was like 68, 69, 70 years old and was part of a program that was under 500. Most schools fire that coach and move on. They didn't. They instead started putting more money into the program. And guess what? They're here in the Final Four. Like it does work if you want to go this route with paying your players.
Yeah.
It works.
No doubt, because guys, and I credit to them. I mean, they're looking to get paid. Plus, you can enter the transfer portal. You don't lose a year of eligibility like you did in the past. And I think it's now a case of, the question being, and we'll get into some of the other games, is what we see and what we saw this year in NCAA basketball, right? The parity. Is that is this kind of a 1-year outlier, a sign of things to come? Is it good for the college game to see that, the cream did not rise to the top?
Yeah.
You don't have blue bloods. I mean, Jim Nance's final four that he's ever going to call before he hands it off to Iron Eagle next year down in Houston is going to have San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, UConn, and Miami. That's not exactly UConn. That's not exactly North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, and UCLA.
When you're thinking about last year, just to interrupt you, last year was North Carolina, Duke, Villanova, and Kansas.
Right.
That was your Final Four last year. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and that's the point. But I mean, the point is that if you look at college basketball, is this just do you think this is a 1-year thing, or do you think this is a sign of things to come? To be honest with you, I'd probably venture on the idea. I don't know. I wouldn't bet anything. I know we're betting that, but I wouldn't bet anything on it. I would say that this is probably a sign of things to come, is that when we get to the NCAA tournament, that there is going to be a lot more parity than we are accustomed to, that you are going to get bigger upsets, that the transfer portal and NIL deals are going to wreak havoc, because you're going to have programs that may not have a rich basketball history, but Miami's got a CEO, a guy that, believe Life Wallet, the CEO, John Ruiz, he was he was snapping photos with players right after the game after they punched their ticket to the Final Four. All the credit, but we know he's the financial backer, to Miami sports, and he's out in front of it, right? Football and basketball. And there's going to be other donors, other, alma mater across America that are going to want to have that kind of impact on their football or basketball programs as well. I think it's a sign of things to come, Keith. I think we're going to look at the NCAA tournament to where it's not going to be all that stunning or surprising when number one seeds don't make it. You have the one and done guys leaving early for the NBA. Then you throw in the NIL deals. You throw in the transfer portal. You throw in all. If you're, you could put it together with enough money. You could put together a superstar team in any given year in college basketball based on finances.
Yeah, it is. I think you're right. I think it's a sign of the times. And I think that college hoops, I mean, really all sports, there's cycles that come through in the, many, many years ago, and then into the 90s and into the early 2000s, really late 90s. It was about the 3 and 4 year players that were leading your teams to national championships, right?
Yeah.
Then you had the one and done become a thing, right? And actually, like Duke finally succumbed with Corey Maggette and Will Avery and guys like that started jumping ship. And then even Krzyzewski was like, all right, I guess I need to recruit the one and done guys. And that worked. The Kentuckys of the world won national championships. Teams were going to the Final Fours with guys that you knew were only going to be at university for 1 year. You saw it flip a little bit over the last couple of years where it started being soft. Teams more with sophomores and juniors were making the runs. Now I think you're right. Now it's about how much money can I pay these players? Can I make this place attractive for you to transfer from said university? And then we make a run, and you usually have about a 2-year window with those dudes. And this isn't going to change. What's going to happen now is the Dukes, the Kentuckys, the Villanovas, the Kansases, like those teams, the UCLAs, they're now going to go, all right, we need to pay up. Let's pay all these players and let's get the best players for 2 years and then cycle them out and get another group.
Well, because and I don't blame the college player either.
Me neither.
Because there's such a small percentage of them that can turn that into their livelihood for their career, whether it be in the NBA or whether it be over in Europe. Same thing could be said when you're looking at football players as well. I mean, it's just such a small percentage of Division I. I'm talking about like major college athletes, right? That can get to and make that the career rest of their life and make a really good living at it. So if you can profit off of what you are as a high school player in college, more power to you. And players have complained about all the money that coaches are getting, all the money that programs are making. Now to have a scenario where, yeah, they're going to be able to make a really good living playing major Division I college basketball, so be it. They're the ones that put in the hard work throughout the course of their lives, the sacrifices throughout the course of their lives to put themselves into that position. They're not out partying when their friends are partying. They're going to work. They're doing all the hitting the gym, going on travel teams. You know the deal, Keith. I mean, we're, AAU tournaments or hockey tournaments or whatever it might be. So you should be able to reap the benefits of all of that hard work earlier rather than just being the case of being in the NBA. I don't blame them. I don't fault them. I just think what we saw this year is get used to it.
Yeah.
Like what we saw this year, get used to it. I don't think necessarily when you look at Florida Atlantic, like
they're the outlier.
They're the outlier. Like
yes.
Florida Atlantic's they're a really good basketball team. They're really well coached. If they didn't win their conference tournament, they would have gotten a bid into the NCAA tournament. I mean, mind you, they've won 34 or 35 games so far this year. They've only lost 3 games. The Kansas State head coach went into the locker room afterward, really classy and tanging, and basically said that, you guys are the toughest team that we've gone up against all season long. Now, they're coming out of the Big 12. They play Kansas. They play Texas. That's a really good basketball conference. We've talked about that when you're looking at, Kansas State. But still, there is a lot of truth there when you look at that team. They got 4 guys on the team that can break you down at any given point. They're really well coached. They finish games strong. Usually in the second half, Keith, they're the stronger basketball team, and they outlasted Marquise Noel and the Kansas State Wildcats in the second half to punch their ticket to Houston.
Yeah, when Noel hit that bank three and did the little shrug thing, you're like, all right, Kansas State's going to win this game. Before we get to the sound.
Right after that, though, it all fell apart.
I know. So maybe you, you don't do the shrug thing.
The shrug, and after he hit the bank three, right after that, I think FAU came down, drained a three, and then they were off to the races, and they went on like a 14-2 run.
Yep, it was a big one. I just want to respond to a few people in our chat. Will the landscape ever settle down? Constant turmoil from now on? I think that this is what we're going to see. The days of Duke, Kansas, Villanova, Kentucky dominating are done. I disagree. I think everyone will get with the times. I mean, Kansas won the national championship last year, and Duke was a top seed. Villanova went through a change of a coach. And will name, image, likeness continue to dwindle the one and dones? Maybe. Yeah, that's a maybe. Because if you are not a lock to be a lottery pick, like now, instead of taking your chances at being an end of a first round guy, if I can make $1 million next year playing at Miami, why not stay another year? Make my $1 million.
Right, if I could feel like I could benefit, not if you're going to be the number one overall pick.
No, that's why I would say, like, if you know you're not a lottery pick.
Correct. Yeah,
like totally it might make sense. Just stay for another year.
Right, if you feel like correct, why not stay in college? And like I saw the De'Aaron Fox comments over the weekend saying he can't watch college basketball, lack of creativity, guys. It's tough to watch lack of shot making and everything like that. Well, then you can get into the player development that we've seen. And it was a very generalized statement. I don't think you can make that argument first half yesterday between Texas and Miami. There was a lot of shot making between those two programs. But second half, you saw the wheels come off for the Texas Longhorns. But I get the point. I mean, it's the whole argument, Keith. Well, then how do you develop team chemistry? How do you develop kind of what your program is all about? If it's a constant kind of guys in, guys out in any given year, one and done players, they're going to the NBA. Well, you're going to have to adjust as a program. That's why you heard the comments from Boeheim, which he got reprimanded for when he was talking about Wake Forest and Pitt during the course of the year, right? I believe that's why you've seen other guys like Jay Wright say, I'm going to go into the broadcast booth and leave his dream job at Villanova, because I think he's probably had enough. I think it's another thing to now throw into the mix. It is a grind to recruit players and to get them signed up. You also have to win basketball games while you're continuing to recruit players. And now in any given time, another program can come in and poach one of your players because they're offering a better financial package. That, to me, has changed the complete landscape of college hoops.
It's a different business now. Speaking of business, taking care of business, FAU is headed to the Final Four. Here's how it sounded.
Kansas State now needs a three to tie it. Clock ticks. Noel dribbles. He's looking for someone. Masood got to put it up. And that's it! The Owls of Florida Atlantic. They are headed to the Final Four.
Pretty darn cool.
That is cool.
I don't know. Have you met anyone yet that put Florida Atlantic in the Final Four?
No, other than Jim Root, who said last week he'd take them when we were talking.
How far did he say he was taking them?
Do you remember? He had them going. No. Well, I asked him of the teams. We went through region to region. If you had to pick a team now to go to the Final Four, he said Florida Atlantic.
You're right. He did.
Yeah. He had them beating Tennessee, and he thought they'd beat the Michigan State, Kansas State winner.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he did. Because I think he tweeted about them potentially, I think he believes, if I remember correct, I saw it late last night, that he thinks they're going to beat San Diego State. But, it's UConn's tournament to lose. That's the other issue you have now is, well, let's hear Dusty May, the Florida Atlantic coach. Here's to the victor go the spoils. Here's the Owls head coach after FAU punches their ticket to Houston.
It's a beautiful thing about this team. Coach wouldn't do the interview unless all of you were standing around him. You talk a lot about serve and repeat. What was it like to see them do that to perfection, Coach?
Well, when you see a group of guys, coaches, staff, players, everybody pulling in the same direction every single day, even when it's hard, it's special things happen.
What was going through your mind? One possession game under 10 seconds.
I was thinking, Mikey's got this.
Of all people that could have been at the free throw line, it was Michael Forrest. How much pride did you have in seeing him there?
Well, I have pride in Mike every single day. He's got an engineering degree. He's going to play professional basketball. He's a champion, and he's also a Final Four participant, and we're still going.
All right, Coach Elijah, you were a big part of that too. You talk about how Coach always tells you guys to sacrifice yourself for the greater good of the team. How'd you do that tonight?
Just giving up the first open looks and trying to get our teammates involved early. And we always preach, serve and compete, and that's what we did tonight.
What do you want to tell the people that call you the Beach Boys now?
We're the Beach Boys, baby.
They're embracing it, Brian.
Yeah, there you have it. I'll tell you
We're
this
the Beach
about
Boys, baby.
Noel stamped himself. I mean, he was unbelievable throughout the tournament. You can't give it up. Down 3.
So, it's funny. Austin and I were talking about that because I was in the car listening on the radio. I wasn't actually watching the game, right? So I was listening, and he was like texting me. I wasn't the one driving. He was texting me, and he's like, "I can't believe he gave the ball up," and I agreed with him right away. And then I saw the video. Tell me what you think. I think because if you look, he passed the ball with like 6 seconds, right? It was like I think it was five seconds. The double team went right away. I think the ball was supposed to go right back to him. So I think the idea was pass the ball, get the guys just to move that way quickly, throw me the ball back. But the guy who caught it fumbled it and then dribbled it and then never got it. And I can't remember who the guy was that caught it. I think that was the play. I think it was boom, give it right back, boom, buckets.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just would not. I'd rather, instead of playing around with that, especially with Florida Atlantic's defense on the perimeter, they were going to trap. I mean, it's got to be a sure-handed, and you're not wrong. I agree with that. I just wouldn't have given it up if I was Noel.
Yeah, Sweet Lou in the chat also saying it's got to take the shot. I mean, you guys, I know you guys are right.
I mean, they didn't even get a shot off.
Yeah, that's rough.
I mean, they didn't even get an attempt.
Yeah, that's rough.
I mean, that's tough. How about San Diego State? Let's hear the final call, and it was strange ending, and we'll get into the call, no call, should have been a call late in the game. San Diego State, the Aztecs, first time program history. Get used to that. They're going into the Final Four down in Houston. Take a listen.
They've determined it's over. For the first time in school history, San Diego State is going to the Final Four. A heartbreaking loss for Creighton. And it's Aztec madness. 57-56.
That's a t-shirt now, right? Aztec Madness, got to be, right?
Yeah, I mean that has to be, right? Yeah, I think at the end, here's the problem I have, and I'm not going to tell you it was not a foul on Nemhart on the. First off, the defense was terrible. How do you allow him to get the edge? Makes little to no sense.
Secondly, why give the foul at 7 seconds? At that point, play it out, and then you knew there were going to be 5 seconds left on the clock. If they hit it, cool, timeout, we go. If they miss it, let's get a rebound, and we're going to overtime, or we're getting a win.
Right.
By giving the foul, you reset it, and now they're getting the last shot. Like it really was poorly coached too.
I didn't. Right. That's a good point on that aspect of it as well. The only issue I'd have is I'd say they let the kids play the entire game.
So you're right.
You can't all of a sudden then move and change the vantage point to suit the scenario late in the game. And I heard the analyst and who was with Ian yesterday saying, well, I'm a firm believer if it's a foul, you have to call it. I don't care about game situation.
But was it a foul with 4 minutes left in the first half?
No.
Would be the question.
No.
So if it's not, then why is it there?
I saw guys getting slapped on the wrist. I saw elbows being thrown. Like it was a very, very physical game. So if you're going to let guys play and do that, I'm not going to tell you one team got the benefit of the no calls over the other. I think both teams played, and San Diego State is it's a senior-oriented team. 7 of the 9 guys that play are seniors. They're very long. They're very physical. and they have multiple guys that can play different positions, and they're really, really good defensively. I'm not telling you, I think they were the better basketball team. I do. I think they earned their way into the Final Four for what they did against Alabama. I think they were better than Creighton yesterday. Even with that being said, I just don't love that call there based on the fact of the way that game was called the entirety of the game.
I mean, it makes you think about the Cincinnati Bengals. It makes you think of the Super Bowl with the I mean, like on and on. Like,
I hated that call.
I know you did. And it's funny because when that play happened, I thought about you, and I knew this would be a conversation here. Because it stinks. It just stinks that that's the way you end someone's season. Right?
No doubt.
Was it a foul? Yeah. Just like it was a hold in the Super Bowl, and it was a late hit on Patrick Mahomes. Like it was, but just because it was, I would follow up the question with this: should it have been called? And that's where the line is blurred. Because if you're not calling those fouls, and that would be the definition of a ticky-tack foul, and some refs call ticky-tack fouls, and that's okay. If you're calling ticky-tack fouls in the first half, and with 9 minutes left in the second half, then sure, call it with 4 seconds left in the game too. But if you're not calling ticky-tack fouls the whole way through, why are we calling it then? Would be my biggest question to the referees.
Yeah, agreed. No, totally agree. I mean, but anyone that's going to look at it by the letter of the law is a foul.
It was a foul. He grabbed the jersey. He gave a little bit of an extension.
Right. Yeah. He guided him, got him off balance a little bit. There's no doubt that you're going to look at it and say, well, that's a foul. You can't do that. But if you watch the entire course of the game, they weren't calling that throughout the course of the game. Not that kind of foul. And then call that in that situation. So you have all those games that have UConn just completely utterly embarrassing and dismantling Gonzaga. Take a listen.
As scout team performers, and now you can say I was on the floor in a regional final.
Hassoun is coming to. Zeros on the clock. And Dan Hurley is taking his UConn team to the Final Four, as he has just given Gonzaga their worst loss of the season.
Yeah, they dismantled them. I mean, the Huskies. And let's take a look. Rob Douster caught up with Danny Hurley after the game, fielded 68. Take a listen.
Just made it to the Final Four. UConn's officially back, right?
Yeah, it's coming is now done. We're back. I think we're back.
So just when you guys were going through that bad spell in January, right? Did you still believe that this group could get to this point, that they could get to this level again?
I mean, a level of the performance that we've played at through these 4 games in terms of, the way that we've dominated these opponents. I knew we could advance. I knew we could definitely make a run. The Big East just in general gets underrated in terms of the quality, especially the top 4 or 5 of that league was a monster this year. And I just knew that, once we got to the NCAA tournament, the games get officiated a little bit tighter and there's a little bit more freedom of movement. It's less of a UFC fight and more of a basketball game. So did I think we would dominate this level of quality opponent? Probably not, or definitely not, but I knew we could be where we are right now.
There you have it.
Yeah.
And he is. And there's not been any coaching issues. They've gotten in the way because they've won every game by 15 or more points. I mean, they've completely and utterly dominated. I don't know how Iona was leading them at the half. I really don't. Crazy. I mean, based on what we've witnessed here with the UConn Huskies, and now when you look at it, they are an overwhelming favorite to win the national championship down in Houston. Like startling, like -1. I think it was like 4-5. I saw last night.
It's crazy. I mean, they're just playing the best basketball of everybody. So the 28-point win was the biggest win in the Elite Eight since Cincinnati won by 31 over Memphis in 1992. I'm going to give you a laundry list of things the Huskies have accomplished during this NCAA tournament. How about this? They are the 10th team to win each of its first 4 NCAA tournament games by 15 points or more. The 04 Huskies did it. A couple other teams too. That 04 Huskies team also won the national championship. They're also the 5th team since 2000 to have a 90 point differential on the positive side through the first 4 games. Those other teams that did it, all of them ended up in the national championship, and I think 2 of them ended up winning the actual national championship. The UConn Huskies, you heard it there from Danny Hurley. They're not coming. They're back. They're awesome. They are clearly the favorites going into the final weekend.
That UConn-Miami game is going to be the second game. FAU San Diego State will be the first game on Saturday, Final Four Saturday down in Houston, and we'll break down those games as the week goes along.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try and figure out a way to convince myself to take Miami plus the points.
I don't know if I could do that. Listen, I've been riding with Miami the whole time.
You've been riding with Miami, I know.
I think, yeah. If they fall down the way they did in other games, I don't think UConn's the team they rally against.
No, I don't think so.
And they don't play enough defense for me to believe in them in this.
I don't think they can fall down like that. I agree. But I also don't know if UConn can play to the level they're playing like this for another 2 games.
And maybe and that's the same thing. Maybe 4 days off for UConn. Maybe they buy, I'm trying to, I'll try to help you on that.
A little bit of a break.
You buy into your own hype.
You can't lose.
Yeah. Guys, we're dominating.
Yes.
We're beating everybody by 15. We just made Drew Timme question whether he wants to play basketball again. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like those kind of things. Sure. Maybe 4 days, 5 days gets in your head. Miami typically starts games hot, right? They started even yesterday up 9-2 against Texas. By the way, that was the first game of this tournament. They didn't hit the race to 10, Miami. It's been a bet that I've been toying with, the race to 10 points. You can do that. Usually if you take the team that's an underdog, then you get plus money on that one. So I would take a look at that for FAU and San Diego State. That's one of the ones I'm going to monitor. I want to take a look at the fast starts for both of those 2 teams.
FAU, San Diego State, UConn, Miami. That's your Final Four. Baseball's right around the corner. Doc Roto is going to join the program next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Monday right here, Bettor Sports Network.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network.
Let me say something about Tiger. You know, Tiger had to redesign his entire swing. Tiger has a difference in the length of his legs because of that horrible accident. You know, in golf, there's no hey, you can't walk the greens. You have to take a cart. So I assumed by day 3 on Sunday, the inflammation would start. He took a couple breaks where they take care of his back a little bit. But it is fascinating watching him. So it gave me this thought, is he that skilled at golf? Or is this a mental thing of dedication and determination? He is so dedicated to the sport that no matter what, he's relentless to it. And the dedication and determination goes to the golf, the swing, the playing, the walking, but it goes to his overall health. The average person who doesn't stay in great shape, gets in an accident like that, goes through multiple surgeries, is not recovering and going out there to walk. And that course has some pretty steep inclines, a lot of walking. I mean, how else could you factor these athletes, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, these players that their whole focus is really optimal health, optimal body skills, and then what comes next is being the best at what they do.
I think you just hit on why Tiger still has that drive. I don't know this. I don't know the man. It could just be love of the game. It could be, I want to make as much money as I can while playing. Could be all this stuff. But LA, a lot of people think Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf. And I don't understand how you can be the GOAT of golf when you are 3 majors short of Jack Nicklaus. Okay? So LeBron, I don't think he cares what guys like me say anymore, right? He's past Kareem. He thinks he's the GOAT. I mean, he's 3rd on my list. He's in the debate. Many other people think he's the GOAT. He's not my GOAT. You know what I mean? So I wonder if Tiger is there, like LeBron, I don't care what the pundits, what the barbershops say. I'm the GOAT. I don't have to do anything more. This is all gravy. I wonder if Tiger looks at it that way.
I don't know what Tiger's mindset is in the GOAT status, but when players talk about what it's like to be at a tournament, when Tiger's playing versus when he's not, they'll tell you that they're on the greens and they can hear the roar 4 holes over, and that there is nothing that compares to the excitement of when he's present.
Bettor Sports Live, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand. Moose and Keith on Bettor Sports Network.
It is. Let's talk a little fantasy. little baseball. Doc Roto joins the program. Good morning, Doc. How you doing, man? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys. Moose, it's good to see you. Keith, I always replace you when you're not here, so it's good to finally meet you.
I know. Look at this. Worlds colliding. It's pretty amazing. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Hope you enjoyed the show. I kind of like Miami. I know I might be in the minority, and I know Connecticut is playing at a really high level, but there's something about that Miami backcourt that is just, when you watch Isaiah Wong dribble, it's mesmerizing.
Yeah,
He's
it really
just
is.
very smooth.
Yeah, me and my boys actually got a chance to hang out with Isaiah Wong in 2000. It was either 18 or 19. My two sons got to take a picture with him, and he was a great kid. We were rooting for him, and yeah, I'm happy for him, happy for Miami. All right, so I know it's a baseball spot, but you did this. So
I created it.
I'm with you.
You did. You created this.
I'm gonna go with the U.
I know. So Moose is going with the U. I've been riding with the U since before the tournament.
Yes.
I feel like I'm jumping off this week. I do. I feel like I'm going UConn. Get me back on the Miami bandwagon. Go ahead.
No. I have no problem with you doing that, and it makes sense. I mean, Connecticut is, right now the favorite to win. But when you look at Larinaga and you look at this team, what do you need to win? You need good guard play.
You do.
You need good coaching. You need good free throw shooting.
Yeah,
That usually wins you a tournament.
Got them all.
Got them all.
All right, man. Let's go you.
Okay, there we go.
No, he's not wrong. They have it all. They got good guard play. Larinaga, second team program they've taken to the Final Four, and they hit their free throws. I mean,
Right.
Miller was just ripping the cord. Doc, let's talk a little fantasy baseball here. Kind of last minute advice for those that are getting involved in, and I know there's auction drafts, there's snake drafts, there's all kind of different variations, but what would be your kind of advice to those that have got drafts coming up in the next couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways you're lucky because you know where the rosters are. You know that Jordan Walker's been called up by the Cardinals. You know that Anthony Volpe Roto, the newest Roto child, has been called up by the Yankees, right? So, 2 weeks ago, you thought that Peraza could be the Yankees shortstop, and now he's not. So the more we have, it's like almost like drafting for fantasy football. The longer you wait, the more information you have. Now, the problem is because you have this information, everybody else does too. So Anthony Volpe went in the 9th round of draft yesterday that my friend was in. I was getting him in 14 or 16, a week ago. So right now you've got to think differently if you're drafting late, but you still need to be aggressive. And I always say this, the first, 6, maybe 7, 8 rounds, I don't mind looking at ADP. After that, you got to throw ADP out. And then you just got to get your guys, the guys that you think will help you win.
I was reading through a bunch of your stuff, and March 22nd, you had an article, Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide, Dr. Roto's Visionary Sleepers. Now we are 5 days later, and the reason why this just jarred something for me, because you mentioned Anthony Volpe, right? How many people on that list changed now? Maybe either aren't viewed as much of a sleeper, or maybe you're out on. Did anything change? You had Ward, Tellez, Volpe, Ruiz from the A's, Frelick from the Brewers, Yoshida from the Red Sox, people like that.
Yeah, nothing really changes. Here's what does change, okay? Let's say Sal Frelick gets sent down. Well, now the luster is off, but he's going to come up. And when this guy comes up, this guy is a hitter, okay? This is one of those guys, when he comes up during the season, you're going to pay a ton of money in fab for. So what I like to call these guys are stash and cash, right? You stash him, you hold him as long as possible. And then because when he comes up, he's an impact player. Estrella Ruiz, I mean, that guy, so what we call range of outcomes. The worst case scenario is he hits about 3 home runs and steals 30 bases. But what if I told you he can hit 10 home runs and steal 60 bases? So I'm trying to win leagues, right? Nobody remembers who came in second place in your league last year.
You're trying to
right?
win.
You got to win. That's a guy who's a winning pick.
We all
right?
love
I'm not saying
winners,
you will
Doc.
win, but you could.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. Who doesn't love? I don't win a lot, but I like when I win. I'm with you. And what about? Is there anybody? Okay, this year when you're looking at kind of dealer's choice, pitchers or hitters that you think are setting up to have a big year, and then consequently speaking, who are you fading? Like who are you avoiding this year in drafts?
Well, it's funny. I've done 4 leagues this year. And I'm in Tout Wars, I'm in FSGA leagues, I'm in Labor, I'm in a lot of the big leagues. And when I looked at my teams yesterday, the team that I hated the most was actually the first team I drafted. It was in the Labor, mixed Labor. And it was, I took Cole early, I took Iglesias early, I took pitching early. And I looked at my team, and I go, I don't have enough hitting. And I think right now with the rules changing, I feel like speed is going to be, there's going to be tons of speed this year. I think that power is always in play. I think I can find good pitchers later. So what I would tell everybody out there is don't panic. You don't have to take a pitcher in the second or third round. If I had to do it over again, my first pitcher I'd take in the fourth round.
All right. So I have the number one. I don't, but imagine a person has the number one pick. So names that are thrown around, Trey Turner, Acuna, Soto, people like that. Do you go Trey Turner because that position is harder to fill than an outfield spot or Acuna, or even like a Jose Ramirez type of player because that's a position that's harder to fill than an outfield spot?
Yeah, I mean, we call that position scarcity, right? So you want to get a guy at a position because you're worried that there aren't that many other good guys at that same position. I don't think that way in round one. I really don't. In round one, I'm trying to get the best player. So I've seen Aaron Judge go one. I mean, I don't know if Aaron Judge is going to do this year what he did last year, but if even it gets me 80% of that, it's still pretty amazing. I think Jose Ramirez is a 5-category guy. Acuna, 5-category guy. I want guys who we consider 5-category players. That's average, home runs, RBIs, runs scored, and stolen bases. If I can find a guy who can do all that for me, I'm ahead of the game. Now, my problem with Trey Turner is not that he's not a good player. Philadelphia guys, you know this. It's a rough city to play in. You know, they love you when you're good and they hate you when you're bad. What if Trey Turner's hitting 235 sometime around April 19th? Are they booing him? It's possible in the city of brotherly love.
No, that's true. You're not wrong about that. What are you doing? What do you think of Judge this year?
I mean, look, who doesn't love Aaron Judge? I just think what he did last year may not be replicated this year. So what I always try to do is I don't look at last year's stats. I think if you look at last year's stats, you're going to come in 4th or 5th place in your league. I try to be visionary and see what are this year's stats. I think Aaron Judge, I'll give him about 80 to 85% of what he did last year. Still a first-round pick, still a top player, and still obviously the most power in the game. So he's worthy of a top 3 or 4 pick.
Doc I'm sorry, Keith. I just want to ask a follow-up because you mentioned you don't look at last year, you're looking ahead. Doc, do you do modeling? Like I'm talking about like
Ford Models hired me. So
yeah, exactly right. I mean, do you do
it was a hand modeling thing?
Yeah, it was.
Right. Do you do a case where you have a program where you're kind of putting in the new parameters and stuff like that, and you're kind of projecting what stats are going to be? Do you do stat projections on every single player or no?
Yes and no. Yes and no. So I'm not going to tell you I sit there and I'm that guy who's really totaling up the numbers. I used to do that. Now I don't really do that. I mean, now I sit there and there's enough rankings out there. What I do is I'll look at some rankings. That's certainly ones that we have at drroto.com. And I start from a spot and then I say, I use tiers, guys, right? So tiers meaning out of third baseman, who's in my first tier, who's in my second tier, who's in my third tier. So it's like a tiered based drafting system. So when I'm drafting, I have a sheet of paper and I just cross out the guys in the tiers. And I'll say, is there a guy left in my second tier? Or if now, do I have to look at my third tier? And I don't like this third tier, so I better take this guy in the second. That's the smartest way to draft because you can see it more cleanly that way.
How are you handling a guy like Julio Rodriguez, who looks like he could be an absolute uber superstar, but the sophomore slump is kind of a thing in baseball?
It is kind of a thing, but man, this kid is a good player. I'd rather be wrong with Julio Rodriguez on my team. So if I'm picking top 3 or 4, he's right there. I wasn't able to get him in any league this year. Each league, I drafted like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, and he went before me each time. But if I was picking 3 or 4, he would have been on my team for sure.
What do you do when you mentioned about Volpe? What kind of year do you think Volpe has with the Yankees?
So if you haven't been to spring training before, I encourage it. I live down in Fort Myers. I go every year to a couple of games. I saw Pete Alonso before anybody really knew who Pete Alonso was. This dude jacked a home run went out fast. The exit velocity was the fastest thing I've ever seen. Volpe has a lower body. He's like a spark plug. He is built. And then he gets into this crouch position, and this guy's not playing. This guy has legit power, and I was really impressed with him. He hit an opposite field home run at JetBlue Park, and he played pretty solid defense. He's got good speed. And then all of a sudden, the next week, you know what I saw? Pablo Lopez struck him out in the first inning. In the third inning, he took him deep again. So this is a guy who likes looking at pitches. He knows what pitches he can hit. And I think this kid is going to be a special player. I mean, look, you had Phil Rizzuto, you had Derek Jeter. I'm not going to say Anthony Volpe is in that crowd, but I don't know if he's going to be far away from it.
Another question I got a lot this week about, fantasy baseball drafts, the closer position. How should people be handling drafting closers?
So what I've been equating closers to, guys, is running backs. Okay. Running backs in fantasy football. How many guys who on teams where they are the man? Saquon Barkley, right? There's very few guys who are the man. Same thing with closers. Emmanuel Clase, the man, right? Ryan Presley, the man. But look, Iglesias is hurt. Edwin Diaz, sadly, is hurt. So now you've got a lot of committees. The committees make it hard. So unless you can get a guy who's a guaranteed closer, you're almost better off waiting till later in your draft and trying to find two guys who could get you like 10 to 15 saves versus the one guy who's going to get you 40.
All right, what do you do with the older starters? Like, what's your take on Verlander? What's your take on Scherzer this year? Clayton Kershaw with the
DeGrom is starting to fall into that category.
DeGrom, you could throw DeGrom into the mix with the Texas Rangers as well, where health is always an issue. What are you doing with that quartet?
It's such an interesting question. So on a different channel yesterday, I had a guy named Derek Carty on, and Derek Carty is creator of the Bat X, which is one of the great products out there for DFS. And Carty will tell you that Jacob deGrom is the number one pitcher by far. And you know what? He's not wrong. When Jacob deGrom is right, is there a better pitcher in baseball?
Probably not.
Probably not. Problem is, is a guy going to throw 130 innings? If you told me he's throwing 150, he's a first-round pick. But we all sit there and go, I don't know. Is he going to get 80, 90 innings? He's going to be with Texas. So that's the problem with these older guys. Is Kershaw going to throw 150? Chris Sale is another guy who gets injured walking to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Jacob deGrom, there's a lot of these guys who are fantastic pitchers, but their value drops. Look, Verlander, Scherzer, they've been solid round 3 picks all season long, all draft season long. But I look at Kershaw, I look at Sale, I look at Lance Lynn, I look at Charlie Morton. These guys have value. People don't like them, but they have value.
Is there a name out there that you're seeing dropping in drafts and you're surprised by?
That's a good question. I'll go with guys like Sale. I think Sale is going later. Chris Sale, if he's right, is this guy not a 3rd or 4th or 5th round pick? And this guy's been going in 9 or 10. I think that there are names that CJ Cron is going a little bit later. A lot of the Rocky guys are going later, the Rocky hitters. Charlie Blackmon, who used to be a good hitter. Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals. I think I got him in round 18. People don't like older guys, right? That doesn't mean they don't
You
produce.
want the new shiny toy, right?
That's right. But fantasy baseball, if you almost draft a boring team, you have a good chance of winning. You don't want Whit Merrifield. You don't want 14 home runs and 18 stolen bases. But you know what you're getting from Whit Merrifield? 14 home runs and 18 stolen bases. You can't say that about other guys.
Doc, we're being joined, Musa Keith here, being joined by Doc Roto, talking a little fantasy baseball. Going to ask you about a couple players. One, Chris Bryant with the Rockies. What do you do with him coming off what was a three-plague bad first year, hitter-friendly ballpark in Colorado? The two is a guy that was at one point in time a big star with the Mets, and now he's a San Francisco Giant, and that being Michael Conforto. What do you do with Chris Bryant? What do you do with Michael Conforto? Conforto hasn't played baseball and feels like forever.
I know. Look, I'm in 4 leagues. Those two guys aren't on any of my teams. They're just not guys that I look for. I look at Brian, I feel like he's a little limited to me. There's power, obviously, but is the average there? Is there any speed there? How many runs is he going to score there? So to me, that devalues him. Conforto is one of those guys that you want to take late in your draft because you're hoping to get lucky and you're hoping to find lightning in a bottle. So there's a question about that, right? At what round are you willing to take that guy in? So let's say it's round 21. Usually there's always somebody who's going to want to take him in 19 or 20. So I look at a player like that and you go, if I don't get him, he's fungible. There are other guys like him that I can get late that I don't need to take a pick early on if I don't trust him.
Let's do the either or also. I'll follow along. So Randy Arozarena, we know the pop is there, and he also had 32 stolen bases. I think he got thrown out like 11 times last year too. Or Wander Franco. Who do you like better?
Oh, no doubt. Arozarena, without question.
Why?
It's not that Wander Franco is not a good player, but I can find shortstops. How about a guy named Willy Adames Nobody wants Willie Adames. A dude's going to hit 30 home runs and hit 80 RBIs. He's going to be on my team all day. Arazarena's got speed, and I think if speed increases this year, which I think it will with the fewer pickoff attempts, with the larger bases, that spring training game that I saw, Ramiel Tapia stole like 3 bases in that game. So these guys are just sending players. Arazarena, why couldn't he have 40? What if he goes 20 home runs and 40 stolen bases? Wander Franco's not doing that.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about a couple Jays. Bichette. I know a lot of people, Keith and I have talked to people that think Bichette's going to have a huge year for Toronto. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Of those two Blue Jays, which one do you think has the bigger year?
So I want to tell you guys a little secret, okay? Sometimes
I'm going to lean in for it.
Okay. I'm a smart guy, but there are guys who are smarter than I am, right? And I admit it, right? So I feel like I'm one of the top high stakes players out there, but there are guys who are even better. And what you need to do, you need to watch what they're doing. You need to look at their draft boards. So there's a guy named Bob Cramatola out there. And let me tell you, Bob won the high stakes overall last year. He has been on Bo Bichette all offseason long. He's been taking him at 4. He's been taking him at 6. He's been taking him everywhere. Now, look, do I love Bo Bichette? I like him, but I like him more at 10, 11, or 12. But when a guy like Bob Cramatola is talking, I'm listening because if he's onto something, that's telling me a lot. Right. So there's your answer for that. Sometimes you got to see what the other smart guys are doing and say to yourself, if he's on them, what am I missing?
All right.
Doc, you're great.
I could rock with that. Yeah.
Doc, I just got one. I know you got to go. Just got one last one for you. Is the rule changes for fantasy players. Where do you think it impacts the fantasy game year one? And when do you think it hits it? Do you think it takes a month for it to really see averages going up, more stolen bases, less reliance on the home run? What about the rule changes and you think the impact on fantasy baseball?
Yeah, it's a great question. So stolen bases are going to go up. I mean, just jack everything up 10 to 15% for sure. Okay. What I'm more concerned about is that pitch clock. And here's why. Originally, I thought it was going to help the hitter. Why? Because I thought that pitchers would have to rush. And then I thought that maybe they'd make a bad pitch. Maybe they leave a fat one over the middle. That wasn't what I saw in person. In person, what I saw was the pitcher had just enough time, but the hitter had to be in the box in the 8 seconds, and they didn't have enough time to do their thing, touch their hat, touch their bat, walk around, stretch a little bit, and then get set. They had to be set just a little bit earlier and be ready a little bit earlier. So I think it may be advantage pitcher, especially for a guy who works quickly. That guy could take supreme advantage of that.
This is awesome.
Doc, you're great.
We'll get Moose to take a day off and you fill in for him. So
there we go.
Yeah. Well,
Doc and Keith, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. That's exactly right.
Look at you, Moose is like, all right, goodbye, guys.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you Tuesday. I'm like, let me know. Doc, you're awesome. Have a good Monday.
All right, pretty well, guys. Take care.
Later, man.
I'm out. I didn't even know I was in. I'm out.
Hey, we are getting ready for the upcoming baseball season with the Bettor Baseball Preview, fantasy baseball to MLB betting. You can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com. Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrink, Cody Decker, who can outbench all of them, actually can probably bench all 3 of them at one time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video of him deadlifting 555 pounds last
Very
week.
impressive.
Yeah. Get your player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers, and busts. Our 2023 fantasy baseball draft and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access to the Bettor Baseball Preview at bettorsports.com. Yeah, he did the 555, and I immediately was like, all right, got to get back to deadlifting.
Yeah, he's crazy. But
big boy.
Give him credit. He's a workout machine every day after he does the show with Craig on Fox. He's out there at the gym working out. Did you see the 60 Minutes piece before we go to break? We'll get into the NBA, the return of LeBron, the Lakers, what's going on when we're looking at playoff standings, the NBA, and stuff like that. Dave Sharapan's going to join us later on. Bottom of the 11 o'clock hour, right around 11:30 this morning. Did you see the interview that Barkley had with 60 Minutes last night?
I did not.
Great piece.
Okay.
I mean,
give me the Cliff's Notes version.
Just kind of like he talked about the fact that the thing that gave him the edge was that motivated him was a Spanish teacher that that gave him that flunked him in a class. He had to go to summer school, and his dad were the two things that drove him throughout the course of his life. When he was a backup point guard in high school before he grew 6 to 7 inches, then obviously became this player, this unbelievable player at Auburn. We know that, and getting drafted by Philadelphia. He had the spitting incident when he was a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. There was a heckler in the stands. I think they were taking on the New Jersey Nets at the time, and went to go spit on the heckler, hit a woman, deserved to get fined and suspended by the NBA. Said he went back to his hotel room that night, looked himself in the mirror, and basically called himself a loser. And that changed his perspective forever. Face lit up when he talked about the fact that, has his daughter, when she went to go play basketball for the first time, was sat down and was like, all right, here we go. And was watching practice. He's like, oh my God, she's not aggressive at all. And went to her and said to her, he's like, do you like basketball? And she's like, no, I hate basketball. He's like, then why are you playing? And so that was basically it. And she's now like 29, and the whole kind of rounded into the story was that, she has a grandchild, a son, and he talked about the fact that he wants to spend time with his grandson as much time. Talked about the fact of, listen, I'm on the back nine of my life. I don't know if I'm on the 10th hole, the 11th hole. I could be on the 17th or 18th. I'm not, who knows? Nobody ever knows where you are in life, but I want to spend as much time with him as I possibly can. There's just something about him that's really likable. And then we'll get into the Durant stuff, but
I mean, he's authentic.
He's authentic. He's real. He's genuine. You went back. They went back to the house he grew up in, which he still owns, and that he owns, and talked about his life, growing up and everything. It was just a really, really, I think John Wertheim did it. Really good piece on 60 Minutes last night. And I'll watch 60 Minutes every single week. I really don't. Yeah. Just happened to be on in the newsroom last night, and when I saw that pop up, I flipped it on, and then got into the comments about the modern day player, and this is where he and Durant fired back on social media last night, saying that he doesn't care exactly what Charles Barkley has to say and never will, but talked about the fact that Durant is just extremely sensitive, but all players in the NBA now, for the most part, massive generalization, are a lot more sensitive now. He said, does Durant ever look in the mirror and be like, you know what, is that criticism fair? And just once, as he's discussed before, has called him Mr. Miserable before in the past. I think, and he didn't come out with that. He got asked about Durant. Like, it's not like he came out firing out the cannon. I think the thing that hits you about Barkley, which makes him, as you mentioned, there's a genuine quality to him that makes him extremely likable. You might not agree with everything that he has to say, but you believe what he is saying. He really believes what he is saying.
It's fascinating, the Kevin Durant experiment is what I'll call it, because even Baby J writes in there that KD is soft. And from an outsider view, I think that's fair. I think he's got rabbit ears, as you would say from the movie White Man Can't Jump. And he does everything that's said about him. Kevin Durant won't just let it go away. Like, he has to answer back. But the experiments part, and Moose, let's dive into this. I find it fascinating that someone could be so soft off the court, but then on the court, he's an absolute killer. Like, and I know maybe that's not the most PC word to say, but like, I think everyone who watches sports understands what I mean there. Yeah. Like he is absolutely stone cold. Like, I'm going to score. He plays defense now. So it is just so interesting that he verbally will let things bother him, but on the court, it doesn't seem like anything affects him.
No, it doesn't. I think sometimes there's a separation where you're able to get into your comfort zone, right? That not every on-air radio personality is the same on the air as they are off the air. Sometimes they're distinctly different. Howard Stern talks about that all the time. I bring him up as an example. And I'm not talking about guys running shtick and just being, but there's sometimes where you hop on the microphone and you're in your zone. You're in your safe space. You're in your foxhole, whatever it might be. And it allows you to hit a creative note that you find very difficult doing in the outside world. And you're able to kind of, and that's what makes you, whoever it might be, good at what you do, is that, this is your passion. This is your joy. I've never denied, and Keith, you and I, we've talked about Durant a lot, especially when he was in Brooklyn, all the drama and the nonsense there, and now with the Phoenix Suns, but there's never been a denial that he's a great basketball player. I think what the thing is sometimes, it's okay to be critical. I mean, it just is. I mean, it's okay to take criticism and be like, you know what? Is that fair? Not everything you do is going to be the right thing. If you're surrounded by yes men and yes women that tell you every single day, you're the best, you're the great, that's the best decision. That's all. It's going to lead to failure. I mean, it just is, because you don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. And sometimes when Kevin Durant gets criticized, as does a lot of NBA players, they fire back and want to talk about the fact of, well, that's not the NBA then, that's the NBA, and all this stuff. Who are you? I'm a better player than you. All this nonsense that we get into. And, the Durant stuff is very, very intriguing when it comes to it, but you're not wrong. When he's on the basketball court, he's a killer. We've used it, assassin, like when Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, you get it. I mean, when you think about that vernacular in the NBA, it's just somebody that's in the zone, and they're not taking any prisoners. They're just, they want to cut your heart out.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Durant is one of the best players. I mean, honestly, when all is said and done, he's probably going to be one of the 15 or 20 greatest players that's ever played in the NBA. Like, he's going to be in that conversation. When you talk about all-time greats, he's going to be in that conversation. He's not a top 10 guy. And I mean, I guess you could, I mean, it's splitting hairs if you think he's 11 or 14 or 9, whatever. But I realistically, I think most big NBA fans aren't putting him in the top 10. But if you're top 20, you are one of the greatest that has ever done it. And the surrounding yourself with yes men thing, I hate it. I do. I think, like, Kevin Garnett, I don't know if you remember the story about Kevin Garnett, and Jacob S is putting it up there in the chat. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. We're going to get into that in just a second. We're just going to finish this Durant topic. Yes, there is some Lamar Jackson news to get to. But Kevin Garnett did it perfectly. Coming out of Chicago, he had that group of like 3 or 4 or 5 friends. It's almost like the Entourage TV show, that he knew that it was the group of guys that were going to keep him grounded. They'd been with him forever. And when he makes a mistake, they'd be like, dude, like, what the bleep is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? Or this or that or the other thing, right? And I think it's very important for you to have people that will tell you the truth, not just say, yes, you're awesome. Yes, you're great. Yes, you're amazing.
Yeah, no question. He also talked about the fact of, no doubt, and playing along the fact, his relationship with Michael Jordan after he criticized his ownership down in Washington, and then Charlotte, or criticized his own ownership with Charlotte, that he and Michael Jordan have not spoken since then, because he said he doesn't think Michael has the right people around him that'll tell him no. Similar in nature to what you were just saying. It's interesting, and it was a great piece. If you haven't had a chance, I'm sure it's online somewhere. It's like a 10 to 12 minute watch. If you like Barkley, you'll love the spot. And and you and I have talked about it. We like Charles Barkley a lot. We think he's really entertaining and great. And I think pound for pound, that's the best studio show, regardless of sport. I think he, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I'd go that one and then Tops number 2. Yeah,
that's it. 1 and 2. No doubt about it. 100%.
Good call. Good call.
I'm with you. Let's get into a little NFL. Also, the return of LeBron. But we've got some Lamar.
But he went to the LeBron James feet doctor, so we're good.
Yes, we'll get into
that. Was awkward.
We'll get into Lamar Jackson because he's hit social media.
Yes, he has.
And guys, can you pull up, because as Lamar was posting that, John Harbaugh was meeting with the media. So we'll find it. Well, there's some audio from the Ravens head coach as well. We'll get into that too. It's Moose and Keith with you right here on this Monday, Better Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Ronnie swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? Ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season. Ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at #1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, positives are the skill set, positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5%, murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. We keep talking about this too. He does not hit the ball in the air. It's remarkable, his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still #1 at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average. Because he hits the ball monstrously hard, I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. It's funny his ground ball percentage is that high because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago, and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
West Side, bad boy.
Moose and Keith on Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith with you. So Lamar Jackson news. We'll get into the Harbaugh audio when we have it. You'll hear it as Lamar Jackson hits social media and basically, in no uncertain terms, said that he's requested a trade. And he requested that deal. He requested a trade on March 2nd.
Want me to read you his letter to my fans? All right. So letter to my fans. I want to first thank you all for all of the love and support you constantly show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions. He continued, in regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone, the little typo here, that has met me or been around me knows I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team. There was more. He wanted to say to win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore, Flock Nation, and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So as he was announcing that, here's Harbaugh.
Oh, we have it. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this yet. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, here's Harbaugh as he met with the media.
I haven't seen the tweet. It's an ongoing process. I'm following it very closely, just like everybody else is here, and looking forward to a resolution. I'm excited, thinking about Lamar all the time, thinking about him as our quarterback. We're building our offense around that idea, and I'm just looking forward to getting back to football. I'm confident that's going to happen.
So there you have it. He hasn't seen the tweet. He doesn't need to see the tweet. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. If you're John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens, and a couple of things. Number one, it is the Cleveland Browns have created a mess for owners and general managers across the National Football League with that guaranteed contract that they gave to Deshaun Watson. That's number one. Number two, you knew the relationship between Jackson and the Ravens wasn't particularly good based on everything that transpired post-knee injury last year during the course of the regular season. Number three, the Baltimore Ravens are now, digging in, and so is Lamar Jackson. So you could look at this scenario and say, okay, is this Lamar making this announcement to try and get the Baltimore Ravens to move, and getting Eric DeCosta and company to be able to move off of, their inability or their lack of desire to give him the guaranteed contract he's looking for, because I don't know exactly where Lamar Jackson could land, or is he really just done with the Baltimore Ravens? Like, he's not. If they can't reach a contract, is he not playing for Baltimore ever again?
Oh, I think he's done. He doesn't want to play for them.
Yeah, but you might be 100% correct. You might be, but it could also be used as a negotiating ploy to try and get the Ravens to budge, to move, to put the pressure, to put now the public pressure on Baltimore, because what exactly are the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson? They're not a playoff team next year. They're not going to find anybody to replace him.
I think this bridge is. I might be wrong. This feels like a marriage that is over. And I think that Harbaugh still wants him there. I think that upper management was playing too much, and you forget that as much of it is a business. We just spent 8 minutes talking about Kevin Durant and being soft or whatever. Nobody who's great at what they do wants to be told that we don't want to pay you like you're great. We want to pay you like you're above average.
Right.
That's what the Ravens are saying. They're saying the Browns screwed up and paid Watson too much. That's cool and all. And there are a couple other quarterbacks like Mahomes of the world that are, making $40, $50 million. We see you just a hair below that. Now you're awesome. You're one of the best. You're not the best, so we're not going to pay you like the best. The biggest issue with all of this, Moose, who's trading for him?
Yeah, I don't know.
As much as we want to say he's awesome, I don't know how many landing spots make total sense.
Well, but so does Lamar's tweet help the Jets?
In what sense? You think the Jets would balk on Rodgers and go Jackson?
In what sense is that now there's another big time quarterback that potentially play?
So that the Packers and Rodgers have to actually start moving.
Well,
okay,
the Packers
have to move, not Rodgers.
Rodgers, obviously, no, but I get the point. But the Packers have to move on playing hardball with the Jets because there's another option out there.
Yeah.
Another viable option there. And there's some Jet fans that will probably tell you they'd rather have Lamar Jackson than Aaron Rodgers because he's more of a long-term solution than Rodgers potentially only being a one-year deal. That it'd be worth, if you're going to have to give up more to go get Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay because they want a second-round pick or, a pick that could maybe become a first-rounder down the line, well, then why not just give up, conceivably, 2 1s and some other things in order to go get Lamar Jackson, who's going to be here for the next 5, 6, 7 years as compared to going through this whole 1 year scenario with Rodgers and potentially for 2.
Does Lamar have right of refusal on a trade? No, right? The Ravens can trade him wherever?
I think, I would think you'd want to have conversations with said team that he would actually want to sign there long-term. Nobody's going to trade for Lamar Jackson unless they know that he wants to be there long-term.
Right. Okay. So, because I'm just looking. Panthers are going to take a quarterback number 1. I don't think the Texans, I know I had alluded to that a while ago, like the Texans have 2 first-round picks that maybe you trade your later first-round pick, the number 12, as part of that package and make a move. But I think they're going to go quarterback. Cardinals are they're stuck with Kyler. The Colts at 4. Seahawks I don't think they would make moves. The Lions, I've heard a lot of people discuss like, oh, well, you could give the 2 firsts and then also give Jared Goff and offset some things there too. I think that might be too much. I don't think the Raiders are doing it. The Falcons, I think, are live. The Bears are not doing it. The Eagles are not doing it. The Titans would be live. And then you get the Jets at 13.
Yeah.
Now, are the Patriots a weird one there?
Yeah, Patriots. I mean,
right? Like if it was 2 firsts,
Belichick's
because
always
that's
talked glowingly
compensation.
of him.
Yeah. Right. 2 firsts. Now you only have to trade the 2 firsts to be able to sign him. Right. So like the Patriots don't have to include anything else. They don't have to sweeten the deal at all. It's just 2 firsts is what the compensation is.
Yeah, right. Correct. I mean, so they'd have to, you have to see exactly what you have to give up to get him. But yeah, the Belichick's always spoke glowingly of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. And, but now, you open it. I mean, if he's truly done in Baltimore, if you're one of these teams that need a quarterback, if you're the Indianapolis Colts or you just ran through them, Lamar Jackson's your best option.
So the best options there, right? Colts at 4. Is he better? Is giving up the 4 and then another first round pick, whether it's next year or the year after? I don't remember if they have to be consecutive years, and then paying Lamar. Is that better than Anthony Richardson or Will Levis? Go ahead. Yes,
yes,
right?
he is.
Yes, right? So the Atlanta Falcons at 8. Giving up number 8, another first, paying Lamar. Is that better than what you already have in Desmond Ridder or Anthony Richardson, Will Levis?
Yes.
Exactly. The Tennessee Titans, if they were to cut bait with Ryan Tannehill, give up number 11, next year's first, and pay him, and then keep Derrick Henry and don't move on from Derrick Henry, is that better than what you have right now?
Right. Well, yeah.
So we started this by I'm almost like doing this out loud with you. I started this by saying, is the market going to be a viable market for? I think you and I together just figured out 3 or 4 teams that make total sense, and your team is in a better spot, let's say tomorrow, if you made this deal, than they were today.
Right. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Right. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to do it. And while Lamar Jackson is better than Pickett, they're just, it doesn't.
They're also not going to trade him within the division.
Exactly. But like a business standpoint, doesn't make any sense. The Lions are an interesting one because a lot of people say that Jared Goff is not really what he was last year, and maybe he's not. But I think it's hard to break up that team the way they were building last year for Lamar. I don't know if I would make that move if I was the Lions, even though I know that Lamar is better than Goff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd make that move either if I were Detroit. But it brings into the course of the conversation. Now, Harbaugh has maintained, just following up and looking at some of the other comments from him, and he said, Lamar, we want Lamar to be here. He's handled the negotiations well. Like, that's where I don't know if I'd be so certain to think that it's definitely over with Baltimore. Yeah. That's all. I don't know. I mean, like,
but even with divorces, sometimes like you're having the worst marriage of ever, and then something switches and you stick with it a little bit longer.
But he said he made the trade request on March 2nd. That was 25 days ago.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 25 days ago, and you have Harbaugh meeting with the media telling you that, Lamar Jackson's going to be our quarterback week 1. That we care about Lamar. Lamar cares about us. All this stuff, despite what Lamar just said on social media. Now, the other issue you have is Baltimore taking Lamar Jackson. Maybe it's the frustrations have spewed out because they're not taking his trade request seriously because he no longer wants to be there. So now he wants to put the public pressure. You can make that argument too. It's fascinating. Any way you cut it, Like, you look at the caliber of player that Lamar Jackson is, it's just unbelievably fascinating to think that we are 5 weeks out from the NFL draft and the potential of an NFL team acquiring a franchise-changing player in Lamar Jackson and him leaving the Baltimore Ravens as he has defined Raven football since he became the starter down there in Baltimore. It's just unbelievable. And this is all about it all goes back. If Deshaun Watson doesn't sign a fully guaranteed contract with the Cleveland Browns, I don't think we get to this point with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It's all because of that deal.
Right.
It's all because of that deal. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy when you look at it. It really is. It's amazing when you look at it. And Lamar Jackson potentially is available via trade. I think if you're the Jets, do you play footsie? If you're the Jets, does this put a little bit of pressure on the Green Bay Packers? If you're the Jets, do you call Aaron Rodgers and say, listen, we want you here. We're going to play a game publicly to try and get the Green Bay Packers to move.
Yeah.
But have the understanding of that, we're going to use this as some leverage for us to try and get the Packers to move. Because I think you'd have to have that conversation with Rodgers, because you don't want to be left there with Rodgers then saying, listen, I don't want to play for the Jets now. I want to play for other team, or I'm going back to Green Bay, which the Packers obviously do not want. They refer to him in the past tense. I don't know if the Jets play that game, just kind of talking it out here on a Monday. But now it's amazing that the NFL never fails to deliver.
I was double checking something. So with the non-exclusive franchise tag, I just wanted to make sure. So the 2 first-round picks, everything I just scrolled really fast. It doesn't say, what those first-round picks have to be, when those first-round picks have to be. It doesn't say that they have to be consecutive years. It doesn't say that they have to be like the top pick, even in your grouping. And the reason I was looking at that was for someone like the Detroit Lions. They have the 6 and the 18. Like, does the 18 count as this year's first round pick, right? And actually, it's the one that they own. The number 6 they got from the Rams. I think there's little things like that, little nuances in this potential dealing that we. Can you remember a non-exclusive franchise tag person that ended up going elsewhere? Off the top of your head, I don't.
I don't know.
I mean, there probably has been.
Right.
But if there has been, it probably wasn't a monster name. I don't remember anybody. If anybody in the chat or our producers behind the scenes, if you guys can think of somebody that we're missing, I would love. I want to see what the compensation ended up being. Whether it was back-to-back firsts, if it was teams that had multiple firsts in one year that gave up the lower tiered one. Does it have to be yours that is like it had to be your specific one, not one that you got through a trade? I don't know. I think there's a lot of layers to this, and we're doing this live with you guys as this is all unfolding. It's pretty cool. This is something that makes this job a lot of
great.
fun.
No doubt. I mean, we're talking about Charles Barkley, and then Lamar Jackson sends out a tweet about 10:55, and Harbaugh's meeting with the media. I mean, it's insane when you think about it. But we'll continue to follow the story and about the potential of where Lamar Jackson's going to land in the National Football League and where he's going to play football in 2023, because it does not appear that's going to be with the Baltimore Ravens based on the fact that he's requested a trade and the statement. And I also think the story that came out last week, which, Lamar, that some business partner was trying to negotiate with teams.
The guy that he was
starting a health
Ted Francis, I think his name was.
Kyle Francis, right? Wasn't it Kyle or something like
something
that?
Francis?
Yeah, right. They sent a picture out, and Lamar said he's not negotiating for me.
Yeah.
And it's a business deal that he has with this guy. I guess they're going to do a video, and
it's a portable gym that they're doing.
It's a portable gym, right? So
it looked weird, by the way. I saw the little trailer video. I'm not in. I'm out.
I mean, it's kind of like tonal, right?
Yeah, but it's like, and then you bring it like to the field with you, and you do stuff with it. I don't know.
Not a fan. I got you. Fair enough. But anyway, he downplayed it and basically said that's all complete and utter nonsense. Like, it's just those are the games that get played sometimes in these negotiations. Now we know the latest. Lamar wants out of Baltimore. He's requested a trade. John Harbaugh is trying to go and tell you that everything's honky-dory, everything's okay, we'll be fine, Lamar will be here, we care about Lamar, he's doing a great job in negotiations. He's trying to tamper down what is a brewing storm down there in Baltimore.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Who would you put as the odds-on favorite to land Lamar Jackson then, as we were talking through it? Hey, before we do that, great job. Thank you behind the scenes for all our chat. So Matt Castle had the non-exclusive.
That's right. Good call.
Castle to the Chiefs in exchange for a second-round pick, number 34. So the rules must have been different back then because now you have to do 2 firsts.
I don't know. Something tell me Jim Irsay in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I like that one. I think Colts, Falcons, Patriots.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see any of those 3.
Yeah, those would be the 3 that jump out to me right now.
I want to remind everybody tonight, beginning at 7 Eastern, it's the XFL on Bettorcast. Watch the Houston Roughnecks versus the DC Defenders and compete in our real-time Q&A contest on the Better Sports Network app. Watch, play, and win prizes by answering predictive questions about the games while having fun chatting with our community in real time. Join us for Bettorcast on the Better Sports Network app starting at 7 Eastern tonight. You can win a $100 gift card to the bettersports.com collectible shop to purchase authentic hand-signed items from your favorite athletes. Monday Night Rants will air on bettersports.com. A little Bettorcast. It's fantastic. Check it out. Straight ahead, Dave Sharapan's going to join us.
Dave Sharapan. He was all over the place again.
Yeah, he was all over the place. I know.
He was sending me pictures of his breakfast spot.
I got to ask him if he's going to hook up with Jastrzemski this weekend.
I'm sure they'll catch up.
Jastrzemski's got his bachelor party this weekend.
Is that this weekend?
Yes,
huh?
Yes. I was one of many. I think he's got like 35 guys going.
For real?
Yes, I swear to God.
Are you're not going?
I'm not going. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
If you could have figured it out, would you like to try? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I would have went. Yeah.
Don't give me the names, but is it a veritable who's who of like a lot of broadcasters, or is it his buddies?
No. I think it's a lot of his buddies. I don't think it's a who's who of that. No, it's guys that work at the Fan. Paul Rosenberg, Tommy Lugauer. Who else? I think Mike Carver's going.
Hey. Carver High.
I'm trying to think. I don't know the entire list, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sure there's other broadcasters that are going. I don't know. Like when you get like, he's like, hey, he texted me like this was like 2 months ago. We're going out to Vegas, this and that, bachelor party guys weekend. If it would love to have you if you can make it out. It's not like you follow up being like, well, who's attending?
Yeah. Well, you should. I mean, or you do. Or you do.
So
I wasn't sure. I know sometimes there's like with bachelor parties that people like are going away for.
Yeah.
It'll be an email with 14 people or 20 people, and then you can look.
Right. I maybe there was an email. So I was not on that email. I got a text from him.
Oh, it's personal.
Yeah, I got a text.
Look at that. Any emojis involved?
What's up?
Any emojis involved?
No, there were no emojis. No.
Where do you sit on emojis in texting? Have we ever had this conversation?
Yeah, people use them too much.
A little too much lately, right?
Yeah, a little too much.
Yeah. But you know what I do love with texting? I love the like button.
I find myself like there are times I just want to get away.
Yeah.
Like I just like I don't want to be attached to my phone like 24/7. And there are people just constantly staring at their phone. And then when you don't respond right away, people get insulted.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. It's just like... Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, Moose is talking. My bad.
No,
hey,
that's
how you doing?
it,
all right.
Dude. It's like it's it. And like when during the week, it's one thing. Like we're doing our show, we're talking off the air, the work at picks and everything. When I have days off, like I like to just kind of get away from it. I do.
Yeah.
Like I like to spend time with the kids, watch some shows, watch sports and everything. I don't want to constantly be. And maybe it's, but constantly tweeting or on social media, like all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that
While
a
we do
failure of
that,
mine?
hold on. No, I don't know. But Dave Sharapan's coming up. So let me just retweet that he's going to be coming up. There he is. He looks glorious in this picture that they sent out. Better Sports Network. At Better Network on social media, on Twitter.
Like
Live
I tweet
now.
about my kids. You tweet about your kids. Like you tweet about this, that. Like that's why
I'm more of an Instagram. I like to Instagram with my stuff about my
I gotta
kids.
get creative with that. You put the music underneath. You do a
Yeah,
lot
sometimes
of
I mess around with stuff.
Yeah, you do really good. You're very creative with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, you are. You do a really good job with it. I am.
Rough loss
I'm
yesterday.
I'm like a caveman when it comes to it. I have no idea.
Rough loss yesterday for Austin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Championship game. Our big guy, who he's the best athlete on our team. Awesome player. He's down in Maryland for some big lacrosse event that he had to miss the championship game. I would say that we probably, because we're the defending champs, playing a very good team. We probably were, with the kid, we would have been probably about 3.5 point favorites.
Right.
Without him, I would have put us at about maybe 4.5, 5.5 point dogs. We lost by 3.
Oh.
Austin scored half of our points, man. He played so good. I was so proud of him. Great defense. He had some timely shots. He actually played like never came out of the entire game, never looked tired. I gotta send you one. I'm gonna send you one of the videos. You're gonna laugh. My Jody got a cool video of one of the shots he hit and how he got excited he got afterwards. He was like flexing and stuff. Just fell just a little bit short. Ugh.
I'm
well.
sorry, dude.
On to spring season, which I think starts today. Today or tomorrow.
You gotta send me that video.
I'll send you a video. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna head out to Vegas next. We'll get the 411 from Mr. Vegas, and that is Dave Sharapan. He joins us next. It's Moose and Keith with you on a Monday right here, Better Sports Network.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Better Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
He's the best dressed man in sports betting. Some call him Diamond Dave. Others call him Swaggy D. Here he is, Dave Sharapan.
Oh, I love the Hartford Whalers jersey.
Who doesn't?
It's a great
I
jersey.
find one person that doesn't love this thing.
That's
This
great.
thing is amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
I didn't know the green looked so good on you too.
Yeah, we got a lot of colors in the repertoire.
Like blue's your color, but you know what? I'm starting to think green is right there.
Yeah, it's on the list. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There's only one or two that don't make the list. But,
What color doesn't make the list for you? If you
telling
if
you that, that's the consultant's job. That's my agent's job. I'm not telling you that. I can't keep telling you all this stuff. I can't.
Why?
No,
What if I'm helping you
my
out?
agent said not to tell you the colors anymore. That's it.
Why the whole suit conversation you and I had a couple of months ago worked out beautifully for you.
Well, it did. That suit conversation was great.
Moose, he calls.
have to
I'm on the phone with him at like 11:30 at night. He's asking me for advice on clothing. Yeah, I'm peeling back curtains right now.
I wasn't asking for advice. I was giving my opinion. I have my own style. What are you talking about? I'm asking you for advice.
He
on
was asking
suits.
for advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was advice.
I didn't know this fire was coming this early. What are you doing right now? What are you?
There's
talking
no fire. I'm just saying, like you were asking for advice. I don't understand why you're suddenly getting shy because the cameras are here.
What advice? Tell us.
He wanted to know if I agreed with a suit combination that he had. It was a coloring. You don't remember?
The purple suit.
Yes.
I already bought it.
Right,
Oh,
but
you
if I had said, dude, that's hideous, don't do it. And don't forget, that was a night when you called me. Jody was awake. Jody gave her input too. What if we both would have been like, "That's disgusting. Don't do it to yourself."
Can I ask you, where do you go for the suit? You have a.
I got a guy. Hey, I got a guy.
I got a guy. Actually,
guy.
I got to find the guy. The guy isn't there where he was before. I have to find this guy. I just found this out this weekend. I had a suit guy who really took care of me, and yeah, I'm a little bit concerned.
What
that
did,
if
what
gotta
can I
get
ask
suit-
if you don't mind me asking? Like, what's the going rate for a good suit in Vegas?
Oh well, you can get suits for, you know how expensive suits are.
Yes, I know.
You guys are in New York. I'm
Yeah,
not
my
paying
wife
New
was
York
like,
prices.
we have to get you
Put it
new
that way.
suits. I'm like, the kids play hockey. I go.
I got a hack to that, but anyway, I'll tell you in a second.
Oh, do you have a hack?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll give out the secret on the air. But Dave, you can finish your point first.
Off the hot mic. No. I'm waiting for the secret. What are you talking?
No. What does a suit go for in Vegas?
We got to know the Vegas numbers.
It all depends. Like there's suits that he wants to get rid of. I mean, you can get a suit, 2 coats for $100.
There you
You
go.
know, I mean,
That's it.
Well, I mean, you gotta. I mean, these are. I don't ask where the suits come from. I just ask how much. I'm just saying. These are nice
Where are
suits.
you getting the suits from? For
I
$100?
don't ask any questions. They're nice. I got suits. I don't know.
Like I'd have if suits cost $100, I'd have a walk-in closet of suits. Like
Well,
they
that's
don't
what I'm
cost $100.
saying. That's what I'm like. There's a lot of things that happen that you got to know how to make them happen. That's all. I'm
Gotcha.
just saying. But yeah, I mean, these are $500 suits, $1,000 suits.
Yeah.
And you might be able to get two for $150, like depending on the day and the time. And
Are these suits falling off a truck?
I don't ask where they come from, Moose. You don't ask these types of questions. You just show up and say the guy's got suits. Let's go. Put them on. What?
Yeah. Are you trying on the suits in like the parking lot of a
Guy's got it
Walmart?
tailored. No, the guy's got it tailored and everything. You got suits. These are very nice Italian suits.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Dave
What's
looks
your
so
hack?
uncomfortable right now.
What's your hack, Keith? What do you mean you're uncomfortable?
Dave looked uncomfortable. There are.
Well, I don't want to give the guy's name away.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
asking for his name.
Yeah,
No.
come on.
There are a few department stores that sell some amazing suits that if you find what your fit is, you can buy like 4, 5, 6 of those, and they fit you like a glove.
Yes.
My place, H&M.
Yes.
They do like athletic build. They do like the slim fit one. And every once in a while you might have to like, take the pants up or down or like
Right.
whatever it is. But like I have found with H&M, they have a size, fits me perfectly. I have like 4 suits from them, 4 or 5 suits from them. And you're talking, it's like a full suit for about 130, 140
Right.
bucks.
That's what I'm saying. That can happen.
That I didn't even need tailoring on those.
But see, you are a model of a perfect size from all the work that you put in. Like, and not that I don't put in the work and that Moose don't put in the work, but we got different parts of bodies that don't, like I'm a 46 regular up top, but maybe I need the pants a little bit shorter, the sleeves a little bit longer, the neck definitely a little bit like there's a lot of maybe alterations. You can walk right into, you're about a 42. Just walk right into 42.
Yep.
And just, put it on.
You're
if you
good to
want
go.
Yeah, if you want, is 42 your number?
It is.
Do you understand how I still got it? Like
You
I
do?
can just eye you up, look at you, 42.
Yeah.
That's good. So
And
you can decide if you really like the color and you want to
Yeah.
show off, all the work. You can go
Oh, yeah.
42 slim.
Oh, I always go slim. Not
Always?
even. No. That's not even a question. Yeah, always go slim. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not slim.
You want it tight around the arms if it can be.
I want it looser. I want to be comfortable.
Nah, tighten up. I want to potentially have problems breathing.
No, that doesn't.
That's not a comfortable suit.
I want
Moose,
to
is
be
it?
like this. I'm just
No,
kidding.
you don't want to be like that.
That's why. Well, no, that's why sometimes I see you maybe on NHL Network and you are like that. Like I'm wondering, maybe that suit really is tight.
No,
But
always slim though. Always slim fit.
Always slim fits. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be form fitting. I got a good green one. I'm gonna rock on Wednesday for the Bettor's Eye preview show. Yeah, it's like an olivey green type of jacket.
How many now? But you do that show from home, right?
Wednesday will be in studio. We're doing a 1 hour. Dave, I think you're on it, by the way. I don't know if you know that yet, but you are. There's a 1 hour preview show on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when you do it from home, you're party down low.
Yes.
Business up top.
Yes.
Is that
And with Bettor's Eye too, there's no like prerequisite. Like we don't have to wear a suit jacket. Like Stryker always wears a suit jacket.
Right.
I don't always wear a suit jacket. Sometimes I just wear the dress shirt.
Gotcha.
Super slim.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was thinking about the party and the business. I wasn't listening to a word that KI was saying right there. That was actually really distracting. Just like this basketball game
That's
this
what
weekend.
that's what the party does.
Yeah.
It's distracting.
Listen, your mom's watching.
Yeah.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Lou.
Listen,
Good morning.
she made me. It's okay.
How was Dave? How was this weekend?
It was incredible. I mean, you want to talk first? You're talking about my suit guy. Now you're talking about your mom making you. I don't even know. And then Moose, great transition right to the basketball. Woo!
Big time broadcaster, Moose.
Holy cow! The basketball. Listen, I'm good with new blood. I'm good with new schools making it. Florida Atlantic's playing San Diego State on one side of the bracket to play for the championship of March Madness. Ridiculous odds before the season and fun. The other side, I mean, if you watch college basketball and you did enjoy the games yesterday, you don't really watch college basketball and enjoy the games anyway. Like, that was fun. I thought Miami's comeback against Texas, despite the fact that all the Ramoses and parallelograms, a lot of them were on Texas, they lost. I mean, Miami earned it. That was I loved it. I thought that everything was great. Except for UConn. I mean, UConn's making it look too easy. And
Any fear for you with that? Moose and I talked about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but any fear of that? Like the now the 4 days off and all the
Yes.
headlines. Yeah, okay. You're because
Yeah.
that's the thing for me too, is the headlines are all gonna read cakewalk, you know?
The steam is, I mean, I thought the line should be 3.5, 4. It came 5.5, sitting 5.5, still 5.5. Now, the unique thing about this is now there will be no discussion about this or the lines or the bets until Thursday or Friday. Like this will sit now for a week, 2 games. We'll hear some narratives talk, whatever. They'll do the practice and all those stuff, and that will be fun. But I don't know, man. Like I think Connecticut can be had. I don't see it being that big of a thing. Larinaga has those kids believing all of the stuff he's saying and the dancing afterward. I want to be him. 73 and still being able to talk to kids and them get it at that age. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. What about Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, where that line is? Was it
Dead
2?
under. That's a dead under. That game,
Yeah.
they're playing football on a basketball court now. I mean, there's physical games, and like if they let him go, okay, I don't know what the kids are saying about like the games themselves, but as much as you want to stand out there and practice shooting a 3, if you still figure out how to get strong in the gym and be able to get rebounds, there's going to be a place for you on some team somewhere. Somebody's got to do it. And San Diego State does it, I'd argue, as good as anybody. So, and Florida Atlantic, they have a couple buckets. Those dudes can play. I mean, that game Friday was that was fantastic. Madison Square Garden, guys, I can't wait. I've only been there one time. I saw Bernard King play a basketball game there for the Knicks in 1986, and I sat up in them high seats, and my biggest recollection was, 1, boy, these guys are taller in person, and 2, Mom, what is that smell? I can't get that smell out of my nose. It was a prevalent marijuana smell up in those upper seats.
I thought you were going to talk about the hot dogs. All right.
No, it wasn't. Had nothing to
I
do
guess
with the
I'm
hot dogs.
naive, you know.
I told the story. I had more recollection of that Cosby's or Crosby's or whatever that store was.
Yeah.
And I got, yeah, that was it. But
Or Crosby's.
I want to come back to see a game, a big game in MSG, because I was on the edge of my seat Friday, boys. I don't know where you were doing, or Thursday, whatever that day was.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. That was awesome. That
was great.
awesome.
I'm with you. I listen. We talked about Miami before. I think they've got a shot against UConn. I mean, I think at some point UConn's going to get tested. Like they're not going to go through this entire thing and win every game by 15 or more points. Maybe they do. I mean, I don't know, but this whole tournament has been expect the unexpected, and now everyone's just no one's going to test UConn here. I don't know. I kind of think to the contrary. Not that I'm rooting against Danny Hurley and the Huskies, but I think Miami can, with their guards, I think they can give them a game.
I jumped out of the house yesterday. I was very confused. It's been a very long week with all of the games and shows and nonstop and like trying to get ready for baseball and everything else. I thought the game started at 2:00 my time. And when I went to look, I was like, whoa, this starts at 11:00. I got to get to the book. And I put in a couple tickets on the Exactas. I didn't even know that they had them up. So I took a couple shots with a couple teams. If we could just get Miami past UConn, I may have an all expense paid trip to come see both of you.
Really?
Yeah. This one was one of some of my best work. So we're all about the U this week.
That's why I'm wearing orange.
Yeah.
So let me ask
I'm
you
wearing
this.
green.
Okay, with that being said, will you bet UConn then?
Yes, I put myself in a position now that I have to bet them at least the first game. But I'm rooting against it because
Like, do you bet it then to cover your bet, or do you bet it for the whole?
I bet it so I don't lose.
Okay.
A lot of times, it's either win. I'm good with win or break even if it's slim margin. But if I'm going to make something, I'm going to try to make something off it. But I got some Miami, I got some San Diego State, I got some Florida Atlantic, just different numbers, different things. So it's a very small risk for a very high return. And I'm probably going to do the UConn bet, hoping it loses. Made so many bets in my life, hoping they lose and they win, and you just get your money back, or you get enough to take the kids out for pizza, good pizza, and that's it. I'm looking to come to the NYC. I want to come and hang out on the island a little bit, watch the kids play basketball, come by the rink, watch a practice. I need 3 days to do that.
Right.
Uncle Dave. Dave, how hard is it to navigate the betting waters this time of year? And good, because that's what I was hoping you were going to say, because like you alluded to it. So you got college hoops.
Yeah.
The NBA is still around, and oh, by the way, like LeBron played this weekend, and the Mavericks suddenly stink.
Yep.
You've got hockey races are still kind of hot right now, and then we're preparing for baseball too, and whether it's futures or actually getting a feel for what the season's going to be. Like, how hard is this to navigate these waters?
Oh, this is when you start to see, like, this week, the college basketball guys in the room can finally breathe. They're just like, whew, got us here. And then they go, okay, well, make sure you're working on the baseball because it starts on Thursday. That's the transition there. The NBA and the NHL guys have been constantly going, but the fine tuning is now. You have to get all of the prices to make the playoffs. Yes, everything has to be tightened up now, because not teams are being eliminated, because we pretty much know the matchups. But now you have to really have that perception, because when you get to the playoffs, it's every night, it's isolated, and the Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs last 2 months. You got to get it in focus. As far as betting it, I mean, people just there's too much going on. Penn State was playing Michigan yesterday.
Hockey. Frozen Four,
Yeah,
right?
for the Frozen Four. And I was watching that. My kids were like, "What? Why do you have all these TVs on?" I'm like, everything is happening right now.
Yeah.
Stopped at the bagel shop yesterday and got a little food. Guy there, Mike, awesome dude. His kid goes to Penn State. We talk all the time about Penn State every time I go in. His kid wants to be a broadcaster. Actually, just got an internship with the Lumberjacks minor league baseball team in that area. For like social media stuff. And he goes, Keith, you're gonna be watching. He goes, our Penn State. We're playing Michigan today, and I'm like, I got a lot of things to try to watch. He's like, you got to watch it. I did not end up watching it. I wasn't. There just wasn't time. I just didn't have the ability to. But yeah, like even that, like people know.
College
talking.
hockey is unbelievable.
It's great.
I went from basketball right to the first game, Creighton, San Diego State, which that was a foul. It was a foul. I don't know how to say it wasn't a foul. I don't know whether it should be called there or not. One coach will say yes, one coach will say no. It was a foul. His hand was on his side, and have you guys ever heard dislodged before? Like, he was dislodged. That's what Jay Wright kept saying, and all those guys.
I've never
heard that in my life.
No, I've not. I've never heard dislodged.
Yeah, well, I went right from
The only
that.
time I've heard that was when someone's choking.
Or like when Moose wasn't allowed back into the lodge,
Right.
things like that. Yeah.
Yes,
When
right.
you're choking, the piece of meat was dislodged.
Oh yeah, a little
Dislodged
Heimlich maneuver. Yeah.
Right,
Heimlich,
from your
right.
esophagus.
Yes,
Very good
correct.
work.
Now
What's
now
this?
the individual can breathe again.
You guys ever save anybody?
No.
Oh God, I've been at a restaurant and watched someone be saved. Whew.
It's
You
awful.
save someone on top of everything else. You
saved
save
a life.
someone's life from a piece of meat.
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Jody and I were out at dinner one night. It was a group of ladies, probably in their like 50s, 60s, having a wonderful time. They were drinking, eating food, whatever. And out of the corner of my eye, I see one of the women. She's like going like that. So I stand up really fast, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And like they all get a little frantic. So I run over to her, right? And she's not making noise. And literally all I did was smack her really hard on the back, and the food came flying out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They bought us our dessert that night.
Dessert.
They sent dessert over for me saving her life. Yeah.
Should have bought the entire meal.
I mean, it's the whole
She was
shit.
embarrassed. She was clearly embarrassed. Like, I
What
mean, I
was
think
stuck
that's
in her throat.
It was beef steak.
Oh, like filet?
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. You know what? After I tasted the meat too, I didn't think it was filet. No, I didn't. I don't know what kind of meat
You
it was.
gave the
It was-
Heimlich.
Yeah, I didn't have to give the Heimlich. So like my first. I don't know why. I guess because it was a couple years ago. So like I wasn't that far removed from burping a baby kind of
Right,
thing. You know.
right,
My
right.
first thought was just hit her on the back. So I just
And
gave
it
her
worked.
a good little hit on the back, and it popped right out.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
God is
I
right.
have a clue as to do the Heimlich. I did take a class once.
Yep. Me
Yeah,
too.
just yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to do all that stuff when you have the baby too.
Yeah.
My wife was like, "You will
Yeah.
take every class." So,
Yeah.
I
So
went
not
to
all
that
heroes
damn
wear
good-
capes.
No,
No.
Yeah. But
No, that's
some
all.
hang out with you too.
Look at you.
man, oh man,
Heroic.
I'm impressed.
Dave, what futures when you look at exact
How do you
matchups?
segue from that?
I don't know. You got the it's a great story. You have the Miami future in
Yeah.
the championship game. What NBA Finals, Stanley Cup final futures do you have?
I don't have anything yet. I mean, I literally just bought the San Diego State side yesterday and the Miami side yesterday.
Oh,
I mean,
you
they're
don't have
75
anything.
to
You
1.
don't have Stanley Cup ones?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I like to wait. Now is when I do it. Like right when baseball starts. This
Yeah, I
is-
think
this is-
last year you were about there was maybe 10 days left in the season.
That's
Something
about
like that, right?
Yeah, what I gotta know the matchups for sure. The West matchups are still yet to be determined. The
Yeah.
East is pretty clear, but the West matchups, man. I mean, the Kings don't lose.
Right.
They're 10-0-2 in their last 12 games.
It's
The
amazing.
Knights have won their last 6, I believe, and 5 on the road or 7 on the road straight. Like the West is still very uncertain. So,
Do you see a way that the Bruins don't make the cup?
man, I was going over it yesterday with a guy. Because I really wanted that's what I was saying. I went right from the basketball to the seeing the Whalers, i.e. the Hurricanes, play the
Yeah.
Bruins
That was fun.
and watch that game. And listen, sign me up for that series. I'll watch that series. That's going to be great. I think the Hurricanes could beat them. I think the Rangers might be able to hang with the Bruins. Like, those are the two teams I keep coming back to. The other guy tells me the Devils are going to beat the Rangers, and then they're the team that could do it. But other than that, I think the Bruins maybe get to the final and go against, like, there's 3 teams in the West. I just can't pick which. I want to eliminate one and go with 2, but can't get away from the third one. I can't quit Edmonton. I know better, but I watch them play and I go, they got McDavid. They learned a lot last year. This might be the time. And the price is right. I mean, they're 15 to 1.
Yeah, they are 15 to 1. Have you played any baseball futures?
No, I just went. So I had some stuff out yesterday, all laid out while the kids were doing. Our family's doing meal prep like Irizarry. Like
Nice.
On Sundays, there's a lot of meal prep and stuff going on. I got sports on the TV and I'm reading baseball stuff. And they're like, Daddy, what are you doing with the baseball? I'm like, well, it starts this week. So we got to catch up. Yeah.
You learn something new every day. Keith, you're
You know
a
what?
hero.
Yeah, I guess.
You are. That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah.
We're not rolling out because we have
No?
music now. But we
We
got
have no
about
music,
5
nothing. It's
seconds.
just going to stop.
See you tomorrow, guys.
There it is.
Bye.